tomēr jautrāk būt kopā, kopā tomēr jautrāk būt kopā, kopā tomēr jautrāk būt, kopā tomēr jautrāk būt, kopā tomēr jautrāk būt, jo kopā jūtos brīvi, kopā tomēr jautrāk būt, nevienmēr būs viegli, kopā tomēr jautrāk būt. Kopā tomēr jautrāk būt, kopā tomēr jautrāk būt, cik esam atšķirīgi, kopā tomēr jautrāk būt, viens otram vajadzīgi, kopā tomēr jautrāk būt, kopā tomēr jautrāk būt.
Labvakar visiem, esiet sveicināti ceturtdienas vakarā. Pie mums šodien ir plašs pulks ar cilvēkiem. Ar bāreņiem no Latvijas. Šodien pie mums ciemos ir good evening everyone, or good afternoon in America. So today we are having a Jennifer from Maryland and Melissa from Tennessee. Hello girls.
Hello.
Arī mūsu burvīgā Dace no Rīgas, kas mums palīdzēs šo sarunu vadīt. Es tagad lūkšu iepazīstināt sevi. Sāksim mēs ar Dace, lai Dace iepazīstina sevi, un tad mēs visiem pie mūsu viesiem no Amerikas. So I would like to start to introduce yourself, but I would like to Dace to start first, and then we're going to go to you. Okay?
I'll do Latvian, right?
Yes, please.
Jā, labvakar, man liels prieks būt šovakar šeit ar jums visiem kopā, un man sauc Dace, un kāpēc es esmu daļa no šīs sarunas šovakar ir, kad es strādāju nevalstiskajā sektorā, ārpus ģimenes aprūpes jomā, tātad mans ikdienas darbs jau 11 gadus ir bijis saistīts labdarības organizācijā ar palīdzību bāreņiem, audžu ģimenēm un cilvēkiem, kas ir gatavi uzņemties rūpes par bez vecākiem palikušiem bērniem. Tātad dažādas nometnes bērniem, apmācības vecākiem un jebkāda cita veida tādu projektu. Un pati mēs ar vīru bijām 11 gadus arī aizbildņi vienam bērnam no iestādes, tā kā man ir arī savu personīgā pieredze.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that was a short introduction from Dace. And Jennifer, could we start with you now, please?
Hi, my name is Jennifer. My husband Chris and I live in Maryland with our 6 children. We have 2 children adopted from Latvia. Caroline is 20 and Jonathan is 7. We also have 3 biological children who are 18, 16, and 14, and another adopted child from Ukraine who is 11. We're happy to be on the show.
Thank you. Yeah. Melissa, your turn now.
Okay. My name is Melissa, and my husband is Billy. When I married him, he already had 3 children, 3 boys, age 5 to 8. So I went from being single to marrying him with 3 children. And a few years later, we had 3 biological children of our own, 2 boys and a girl. And then we adopted Uldis, who is right here with me. So we have 7 children total. The older boys are not in the home anymore, but in the home we have 4 kids. I am 41 years old. I homeschool my children. And when I say homeschool, we don't just stay home all day. So we do lots of activities. They have classes outside the home as well. I'm a part-time hairstylist. I've done hair for 21 years. And I still do hair in my home a little bit for the people that I really enjoy because I'm a busy mom. I teach English online as well to students across the world, so all over the world, adults and children. So we're a busy household, but we love it, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Melissa, question to you is, what makes you think of adopting another kid after you having 6 of your own? That's a huge family. And what makes you think of adopting someone else? And especially from across the ocean, from across the pond, from Latvia, which is probably, I bet you never heard about Latvia before.
Yes. Well, let me say, many years ago, before I had my biological children, well, first, when I married my husband, those children weren't biologically mine, and I loved them anyway. So I think I just naturally was able to adapt and love other children that didn't come from me. But I kind of had a little something on my heart that for adoption. I don't know why. God just put it there. It was just a little thought in my mind. But we then had our biological children, so that's not past. But I was busy taking care of my biological children. But it was always there. I didn't really think that we would ever be able to. I didn't think it was going to happen, honestly. But I feel like God placed it on our hearts to host. And we thought, this is something we can do. And it's the easiest thing in the world for me because I have children. And I love them. Like, why can't we do this for someone else? Like, why can't we help someone else? We're already doing this already. Why can't we add another one? And so we decided to host Uldis, and we still didn't think that it would be possible, or we didn't know if his situation was. But it was very clear to us what we were supposed to do. We had a responsibility, and we loved him immediately, and he fit right in with our family. So it wasn't something that we really set out to do, but it was brought to us, and we had never heard of Latvia. We would have never have known his name had we not seen the picture and it was presented to us, So it was just a very natural thing for us to want to do, to add another child.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with the same question. We'll go to Jennifer. What makes you think of adopting some other kids, and especially from Latvia, Ukraine? Weren't there kids who were needed to be adopted, say, in America? I think you have your own kids, but what makes you choose, say, like kids from Latvia?
Well, we didn't really set out to choose children from anywhere in particular. We had our 3 biological children. We started doing foster care here in the United States, caring for infants. Most of those went on to be adopted by other families. So we were part of that process and becoming a stepping stone for those children, looking for families. And then when we came upon a hosting program and learned about the country of Latvia and the needs there, and we met our now daughter and hosted her, got to know her. And once you know their name and you see their face and you know their personality and you get to know them, it really, to us, it didn't matter if she was from Latvia or America or wherever. She needed a family, and we had fallen in love with her, and we just decided, that she should be part of our family. Same thing with our other children. We just fell in love with them regardless of where they were from, and we knew that they were meant to be with us. So we decided to go ahead with the adoption process and make them ours.
And also, your daughter, sorry, what was her name?
Caroline.
Caroline. She had some health issues, didn't she?
She did. She was born in Latvia with fetal alcohol syndrome and some intellectual disabilities. From birth, she was placed in the orphanage, and she spent her first 9 years there. So she had never really had a family prior to coming to us. So it was a completely new experience for her. I wish she was here to be able to talk with you today, but she has done amazingly well. She's overcome so much in the 11 years that she's been home with us. She graduated high school last year. She's now working as a classroom aide in a Montessori school. And as part of her graduation gift, she wanted to go back to Latvia. So we were back in Latvia last June, celebrating her graduation and visiting Riga and some friends that we've stayed in touch with.
There's another question. What make you, say, choose? I know that, say, like with Melissa, Uldis is like a healthy boy, right? And Jonathan was yours, another kid, yes? Jennifer. Jennifer was 1 year old, healthy kid. How was it to adopt a healthy kid and someone with some health issues?
Well, my husband and I both have a background of working with adults with developmental disabilities here in America. He's a director of a program that provides services, and I was working as a service coordinator. So we both had the experience of working with people with special needs. So when we met Caroline, we just knew that we had a skill set that we could provide and help her to get the resources that she needed here. And we knew that we could connect her and support her in ways that she might not be able to be in Latvia, and to provide, the things that she needed to be able to be successful. Our other son, who was adopted, he was very premature. He was also placed in an orphanage at birth. He was passed over by 16 families before we came along, just because he was so premature. But it didn't scare us. It was just something that we decided to take on. And he's an amazing 7-year-old little boy now, preparing to play American football and hanging out with his friends, going fishing. He's a great kid.
Great. That's what we love to hear, that these kids are actually found themselves a big, huge, loving families with massive hearts in a chest, who loves them no matter what, and with no matter what issues they are having. So only I can say is absolutely massive thank you to both of you for doing this kind of job. And probably Dace will going to join us. I'm going to say something as well.
Yes. Ko es varētu piebilst kādā jautājumā?
We're going to ask Dace her experience about fostering a kid. So pastāst par savu pieredzi, ka tev bija audžu bērns.
Jā, tātad mēs ar vīru bijām tikko precējušies, mēs tagad esam jauni, bet mēs bijām vēl 16 gadus jaunāki. Un mēs vienkārši, tas bija daļa no mana darba. Mēs strādājām vai darbojamies kā brīvprātīgie vienā konkrētā bērnamā, un mums bija plāns, ka mums būs sākotnēji savi bērni, un tad varbūt kādreiz, jo mans darbs ir ļoti cieši saistīts ar šiem ārpus ģimenes aprūpes bērniem, mēs noteikti tā kā arī varētu adoptēt vai paņemt. Bet, kā es smējos, Dievam bija citi plāni, un konkrēti šajā bērnamā mēs iepazināmies ar vienu meiteni, kurai tobrīd bija 6 gadi, un viņa kā dadzīts mums pieķērās. Viņa vienkārši mūs noskatīja un mērķtiecīgi gāja uz savu tādu plāniņu, kā es smējos, un sāka viņi pie mums viesoties, sākumā brīvdienās, pēc tam svētkos, un tad jau tu nonāci līdz tam brīdim, kā arī teica Jennifer un Melisa, kad tu pazīsti konkrēto bērnu, tu vairs tik viegli, nevari viņam pateikt, nē, tu esi viņu iemīlējis, tu vēlies, lai viņš ir daļa no tavas dzīves, tu gribi darīt kaut ko vairāk, un tad mēs, principā tikām nostādīt faktu priekšā, ka varbūt tad vajadzētu uz nākamo soli spērt, un mēs tādā lielā ticībā, bez pieredzes, arī uzņēmām viņu pie sevis ģimenēm. Tādēļ, kad es biju jaunāka, tāda, likumā nosaka, ka tu vari adoptēt, ja tev ir 18 gadu starpība ar bērnu. Es biju jaunāka, mums nebija īsti tie nepieciešamie gadi, tad mums ieteica tobrīd bāriņtiesa ņemt bērnu vienkārši aizbildnībā, kas ir viens no šiem ārpus ģimenes aprūpes veidiem. Tobrīd mēs uzskatījām, ka tas ir ok, un tā, tagad es uzskatu nedaudz savādāk, un tas ir atsevišķs temats. Jā, es tiešām ticu, ka bērna interesēs adopcija, kurā gadījumā ir pats labākais, tā piedrības sajūta, ko tas dod, tā drošības sajūta bērnam un arī dažādi juridiskie aspekti. Adopcija tiešām ir vislabākais, manuprāt, bērni interesēs ilgtermiņā. Ja? Un tagad mūsu meitai jau ir 22 gadi, viņi jau dzīvo patstāvīgi, un tā kā mums ir tāda pieredze ar vīru.
Skaidrs, labi. Jennifer, can you tell us the procedure, how it went, say, to adopt, say, Caroline and Jonathan? What you went through? How did you find those kids? What was the response on your, say, emails when you kind of message orphanage saying, oh, I would like to adopt, say, Caroline? What was the response from Latvian side? And what's the bureaucracy about paperwork and what like, I don't know, what tests the Latvian side wanted you to do, or what like, I don't know, checks? How this all happened?
Well, it's quite extensive. It was not as simple as just calling the orphanage and saying we wanted to adopt a child. But before we could even start that process, we had to complete a home study here in our state of Maryland. So we had a social worker come out 3 times to visit us, to interview all of us. They checked out our home for safety. They had the fire marshal come out to check for fire safety. We had our water tested. We had physical exams on all of us, medical exams. We had to complete 10 hours or actually more of training about being adoptive parents and taking care of children that, have been placed in orphanages. A lot of background on that. So once we completed that, then we had to apply through the United States immigration to be approved to adopt a child from another country. Then we had to complete a dossier, a bunch of documents that Latvia required, which was separate than the original home study. So we had to provide information, proving that we own our home, proving our work and our income, proving, about a lot of other big things. I can't remember right now, but I can tell you it was 9 inches worth of paperwork that we had completed when we were finished. So after we got approved we presented our information to Latvia, the ministry approved us, and then we were able to obtain a referral to adopt Caroline, who we specifically asked to adopt because we had gotten to know her through a hosting program. And then the Latvian process was actually unique compared to our experience with other countries because although it did require 3 trips, we did travel to Latvia 3 times. Our first trip, we spent 3 weeks in Latvia with Caroline, getting to know her better in her country, getting to learn more about Latvia and absolutely falling in love with Latvia. But then she was able to come home with us as the adoption process was proceeding. So about 2-3 months after that, we went back to Latvia for court. Then we came home, and then it was 2 or 3 months after that we went back to Latvia to finish everything up, go to the U.S. Embassy for the immigration piece to be able to bring her into America as a U.S. citizen. So all in all, from the beginning to the end for our process with Caroline, it was over a year. So it was a lot of waiting and a lot of procedures to get through to be able to get her home.
And does the Latvian side still have do some checks on you after these years, or they just after a few years they just said, okay, they are happy that Jonathan and Caroline is happy with you, so there's no need for any more checks, and you can live happily ever after?
Well, the formal checks were required at 6 months and a year, but we've personally stayed in touch with contacts in Latvia. We've developed relationships. So we send pictures and updates to Jonathan's orphan court just to let them know how he's doing and how he's growing. We've developed relationships with some of the orphanage folks that worked with Caroline. So we've kept in touch with them on a personal level. But beyond the year check-in, it wasn't required officially. We just decided to do that to keep the connection for our children with their country.
Okay, the same question goes to Melissa. How was your experience with and all your procedures to adopt Uldis?
Well, it was exactly as Jennifer described, except we are required to do a 1-year post-adoption report and a 2-year. So we've already done the 1 year. So in February, we'll be due for our 2-year post-adoption report. And after that, we won't have to do any more reports. But like her, we are friends with like the orphan court director in Latvia on Facebook. So she sees pictures, we send her things. We have an open relationship, and she's very happy to see the pictures and see the updates and everything. But like Jennifer said, it was quite an ordeal. I mean, when you look at the process and when it's explained to you, it can feel like I can never do this. I cannot do all these things. And there were many times that I was trying to get some paperwork done or fingerprinting. Something went wrong with the fingerprinting, and I just broke down and cried in the office at the fingerprinting place, because it was very stressful to get all these things done correctly, from with our country and then with Latvia too. You have to get it exactly right because they do care about the kids and they want to make sure they're placed in a good home, not just any home. They are very thorough, and I think that's a good thing. So, we got there step by step, but it took a while. Ours was a little bit shorter. We were actually had a time limit because he was going to be turning 16. And also we had heard that Latvia was going to be changing their laws. So we had to rush. And it took about 7 months from the first day that we inquired about adoption to the time that we were in Latvia to get him. So it wasn't completed till maybe a year later, but he was actually home with us after 7 months.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Our government has decided to stop adoptions to non-Latvian nationals from 1st of September. So I think it's a big issue. And on this matter, I would like to ask Dace. Dace, cik vispār ir latviešu bērni adoptēti ne latviešiem ārzemēs, teiksim, ārzemniekiem?
Varu pateikt precīzi, jo es tikko maijā esmu aizstāvēju savu maģistra darbu par ārvalstu adopcijas atbilstību bērnu labākajām interesēm, un, protams, es apkopu arī statistiku, un ir dati par, sākot no 2001. gada, kāda ir tā progresija, un 1049 šobrīd, cik es saprotu, tagad varbūt ir kaut kas nācis vēl klāt par šo gadu nedaudz, ja, bet vidēji tie ir bijuši aptuveni plus 180, 130 bērni gadā uz ārvalstīm ir adoptēti. Un no 2001. gada tā labā tendence par godu Latvijai, bet ir, kad 2001. gadā no Latvijas vietēji adoptēja 46 bērnus, bet uz ārvalstīm 111. Jā, tad ļoti krasi bija tā atšķirība. Tad ar gadiem vietēji ir kļuvuši daudz aktīvāki un arī ir adoptējuši bērnus. Un tas cipars ir audzis, es vienkārši skatos paralēli savā tabulā, uz jau 60, 80, 90, un tagad pēdējie dati par 19. gadu ir, kad 108 adoptētāji. Tātad 108 bērni ir adoptēti Latvijā gadā. Ja? Un uz ārvalstīm, ņemot vērā visus šos ierobežojumus, kas ir bijuši pēdējo gadu laikā, tagad jau tikai 42 bērni 2019. gadā ir adoptēti uz ārvalstīm. Tātad uz ārvalstu adopcijas skaits ir ievērojami krities. Vietējais lēnām aug, bet pēdējo gadu laikā viņš tā paliek. Tā nav tāda baigā krasā izaugsme.
Tu vari pateikt, teiksim, ne visi gadījumi ir pozitīvi un tik laimīgi kā Dženiferai un Melisai. Kā ir ar tiem netik labiem gadījumiem?
Kādā ziņā, kā ir, kas notiek vai kāpēc?
Jā, teiksim, bērni varbūt tās pēc kādu laiku ir jāaizņem no tām ģimenēm ārā, un vai pret bērniem slikti izturās, vai kaut kādu iemeslu dēļ tie bērni, pieņemsim, ir spiest atgriezties.
Okay. Es varu runāt tikai par to pieredzi, kas ir bijusi man kā adopciju procesa tulkam, un šogadu laikā ar tām ģimenēm, ar kurām es esmu strādājusi. Ja? Es teiktu, ka 85, pat 90% gadījumi ir bijuši pozitīvi, un tos procentus es ņemu no tā, kad es tikko biju Amerikā intervēt pētījumu ietvaros 20 bērnus, un tās bija 10 ģimenes. Un no šīm 10 ģimenēm, 2 gāja grūti. Es tad paņemu to kā tādu piemēru, ka tā arī uz lielos vilcienos ir. Ja? Vidēji tātad no 10 ģimenēm, varbūt 2 ir tādas izteiktas grūtības. Un kāpēc tas notiek? Ka vecāki paši būtu tā bērnu, teiksim, izmetuši ārā vai attiekušies no tām ģimenēm, no kurām es esmu strādājis. Tā nav bijis. Ir viens tāds gadījums bijis, kad vienkārši ģimene bija pārvērtējusi savus spēkus. Jā, šeit arī jūs dzirdat, kad ir daudz jau savi bērni. Jā? Tad, protams, ir liels izaicinājums tur, kur jau ir daudz bērni. Ievest vēl kādus grupiņu, ja, vai tie brāļi un māsas, vai tas ir viens bērniņš ar kaut kādām īpašām vajadzībām. Un tur vienkārši nenostrādāja varbūt tas saucamais matchings, kas ir ļoti būtisks. Un tad tur bija vajadzīga ļoti plaša palīdzība un tā. Ir bijuši arī tādi gadījumi, kad, diemžēl, bērnu šeit piedzīvo to traumu dēļ, ja, tas nav nekāds noslēpums, ka ļoti lielai daļai bērnu ne tāpat vien, viņi tiek izņemti no savām bioloģiskajām ģimenēm, viņi ir piedzīvojuši ļoti daudz dažādu veidu vardarbību, un tā atstāja ļoti liels sekas. Un tad tas prasa milzīgu ieguldījumu no ģimenes, terapijas veidā, pacietību, mīlestību, lai bērnam palīdzētu tam tikt pāri. Ne visiem tas izdodās uzreiz, un citi vienkārši to neiztur. Un tad bērnu uzvedība var būt ļoti izaicinoša, ļoti tāda kategoriska, un tad es zinu, ka ir gadījumi, ka pēc pilngadības arī bērni diezgan ātri tā kā aiziet no ģimenes, un tad cenšas tādu patstāvīgo to dzīvi sākt veidot. Ja? Tādi tie manā praksē novērotie gadījumi.
Labi. Okay, we're going to go and see some comments. We have Dinah who wrote, hello from Latvia. And then we are asking our viewers to share this video. And we have 25 people, 24, someone left. It's okay. And then Dan is commenting, I know Uldis many, many years, and he always wanted to find himself a good, loving family. And finally that happened. And she's very, very glad for Uldis and for a family who gained an absolutely brilliant son. And also she's writing that, thank you very much to Jennifer and her husband for everything they've done to Latvian kids, for Latvian kids. So someone knows and appreciates your work, what you're doing. I have a question to Jennifer first. How your kids, when you first announced them that you were going to adopt someone, how they reacted? What was their reaction? And what was their reaction when you actually brought Caroline and Jonathan back home?
Well, our children, when we adopted Caroline, our biological children were 2, 4, and 6. So they were very young. Caroline was very small for her age. So although she was 9, she was smaller than our 6-year-old. So he was very excited, and his comment to us was, I can't wait to get my older but smaller sister. So they've definitely gelled and they've bonded. They were much older when we adopted Jonathan. So Jonathan is 7 now. We adopted him 6 years ago. And when they found out that we were going to have another baby in the house, they were extremely excited. As I said, we do foster care with babies. So they constantly are used to having foster babies come in and out of the house. And they were always asking, well, when can one of the babies stay forever? So they were very excited when Jonathan came. And Jonathan is such an amazing blessing to our family. Although he's much younger, he looks up to his older siblings and follows them around and has really, really just adapted well to the family. And they just adore having a little brother.
Okay. The same question to you, Melissa.
Well, when we first announced that we were going to adopt, we had a lot of people excited because they had met Uldis. He had come over for the hosting program for a summer. And so a lot of our friends from church knew him. He had a face like he was a real person. And they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. We love Uldis. And, it's kind of scary announcing that because you don't know how people will react. And some people, didn't have the reaction that I hoped. Maybe they just didn't understand, or maybe they were afraid for us, how hard it could be to go through this process, But like our family was very excited. My parents, when I told them, I said, we're going to try to adopt Uldis. We're going to start the process. And my dad, he said, I'm so happy to hear that. He said, because I was going to tell you, if you don't adopt Uldis, I am. So he can be your brother or he can be your son. So they were very happy to have an additional family member, and our biological children as well. When we were leaving, when we had to take him back to the airport after a hosting trip, my husband and I didn't mention anything else because that was the hosting trip. We can't talk about anything like that. But the kids were crying and they were saying, please, how can we make Uldis our brother, please, And it was, we came home and we had a family meeting to talk about all the things that would involve and the time it would take. And we just had a real discussion about it with all the kids. And they still were like, no, we have to have Uldis as our brother, if we can. So we had mostly good responses.
How old were your kids when Uldis joined your family?
They were, 10 and 7, right? 10, 8, and 6.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So Uldis was like an older brother for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna go now and speak to Uldis in Latvian. So I'm sorry if that makes any inconvenience for you, but we'll probably be reasonably short with Uldis. Sveiks, Uldis.
Sveiks.
Sveiks.
Kā visiem iet?
Jā, man iet labi. Kā tev iet?
Man iet labi.
Labi. Es tev uzdošu pāris jautājumus, un ja tu atbildi, kā tu vari, ja? Ja tev gadās grūtība kādu vārdiņu izrunāt Latvijas, droši saka angliski, un tad mēs sapratīsimies. Tu vari pastāstīt nedaudz par sevi, teiksim, kā tev bija Latvijā pirms tevi Melisas ģimene adoptēja?
Es sākšu no paša sākuma. Es kad piedzimu, es ne uzreiz, bet pēc kāda laika mani izņēma no ģimenes. Esmu 8 bērni, esmu 8. no ģimenes. Pats jaunāks. Kā to pateikt? Es dzīvoju bērnumā apmēram 8-9 gadus. Tad es paprasīju savai bāreņu namu direktoru, ka es gribu kaut ko vairāk, ne jau tikai, jo man bija tāda sajūta, ka te ir kaut kas lielāks nekā tikai bērni, ka bērni ir ar bērniem. Man bija tāda sajūta, ka man kaut kas pietrūkst, kaut kas is very different. So I started, I asked my orphan care that the lady, and she said, yes, we will find you a auģi ģimene, un man auģi ģimene no Ilūgstes. Un kā to pateikt, viņi man ļoti daudz, they taught me a lot of life, how to be in a family. And then, like in that summer, when I was 9, they started, I started doing interviews with Jennifer, I think. Remember that? I had an interview, I think, with you. And they actually helped me find host families for a long time. So, and then later on, years later, I found her through hosting. So,
You found each other?
Mana dzīve ir ļoti priecīga un savādāka nekā es varēju pat iedomāties, ka, kad es biju bērnu namā, es pat nevarēju iedomāties, kas ir ģimene, kas ir dzīve. Es tikai dzīvoju bērnu namā, spēlējos, gāju skolā, un tas arī viss. Man bija pašam savs brīvais laiks ar brāli, un es pat nevarēju iedomāties, kas ir ģimene, kas ir ārpus manai robežai. Un, jā, un man ir savs krekls, es mīlu savu mammu.
Tas ir vienreizē forši. Uģi, tu teici, ka tev ir, tu biji 8. savā ģimenē no bērniem. Tu zini kaut ko vairāk par saviem brāļiem un māsām, kā viņiem iet, viņi ir adoptēti, vai viņi joprojām Latvijā ir kaut kur bērnu namos?
Visi ir ārā no bērnu namiem. Nu, es nezinu, vai visi bija bērnu namos, bet mani 2 brāļi bija bērnu namā ar mani, kas viņi bija, I think, 21, gandrīz 18 gadi un 16 vienam. Tas bija iepriekš, kad es tiku izņemts no bērnu nama. Tagad viņi ir sava dzīve un viss pārējais darbi. Jā.
Tu ar viņiem vēl kontaktējies kaut kādā veidā?
Jā. Facebook Messenger. Jā. Sometimes.
Bet tu komunicē ar visiem saviem brāļiem, māsām, teiksim, tu teici, jūs bijāt 8. Tev visi ir, teiksim, tādā tavā tuvā lokā, ja tikai daļa no savas ģimenes?
Tikai daļa. Tikai tāpēc, ka mani brāļi un māsas jau ir vecāki, viņi nevarēja, viņiem bija iespēja mani adoptēt, bet viņi nevarēja. Tur bija ļoti, ļoti grūtas situācijas, tāpēc, jā. Es nevarēju tā sazināties ar visiem 8, bet, kādri 4 varbūt tas ir lielākais 4.
Kā tava dzīve tagad ir Tennessee? Ko tu dari ikdienā? Pastāst nedaudz par savu ikdienu, lai cilvēki, kas mūs skatās, tagad mums ir 36 cilvēki, 37. Pastāst viņiem, kāda ir tava dzīve šajā Uldisas un Bilija ģimenē ar brāļiem un māsām?
Es ļoti pavadu lielu laiku ar maniem brāļiem un māsu. Mēs ejam, daram, peldamies un braukājam ar riteņiem pa neighborhood. I don't know how it's neighborhood.
Par rajonu, kā Latvijā.
Jā, par rajonu, jā. Es tagad, man ir ļoti, ļoti daudz draugu, kuri viņi atbalsta mani, kad man ir grūtas situācijas, kad es nejūtos labi vai man ir slikti, veselības or something like that. Es tagad in 2 nedēļās es dabūšu savu braukšanas apliecību.
Autovadītāja apliecību,
jā. Jā, autovadītāja apliecību. Jā, un es arī dabūju darbu vakardien. Vakardien es dabūju darbu. Es tagad strādāju in kitchen.
Virtuāli.
Restaurant.
Ļoti labi.
Jā.
Paldies, ka mums pastāstīji un skatāmies. Ir tev sastāst, ir grūti tev ar to latviešu valodu, bet cik saprotam, ka tev nav uzspiests nerunāt latviski un ka tu joprojām ar saviem brāļiem Latvijā sazināties. Un tas priecē, un tas arī parāda to, ka tā kā Uldis teica, kad ir adoptēts, ka nav jau nemaz tik slikti tiem bērniem neiet ārā. Kā tur cilvēki teiktu, ka, ko mēs tur aizsūtam viņus, tad te ir dzīves piemērs no tā, tomēr, visi kārtībā.
Yeah,
mālēts. Paldies tev, Uldis. Yeah, so we just spoke to Uldis about his life in Latvia, orphanage, and about his siblings, that out of 8, I think he's keeping in touch only with few of them, which is partially a sad thing, having 8 brothers and sisters, and you only have left in touch with few of them, which it's not good. But I also asked him, say, how was his life in America now? And he told he's happy with the new kids at school. He's getting a job in the kitchen. He's passing his driving license in any minute. So his life is brilliant. So, and that's what he wished for, having a beautiful and big, happy family. So, Melissa, it's absolutely pleasure to I don't know, not a pleasure. It's just massive thank you to you and Jennifer as well for what you've done. And it's touching. It's touching. It's not easy to talk and then listen to these stories, but yeah, it's all good. Thank you. We also have a comment from one of our friends who says, Uldi and Kopa, we are great people for bringing up this subject, because this is a subject which tāds tu varbūt man var ātri palīdzēt iztulkot. Dace? Jā, tu vari palīdzēt ātri iztulkot Yeah, this is a subject which actually thinking and talking about you can help someone. So thank you for that one, and all the best to all our guests today. So Yeah, so all the best to Jennifer and Melissa with your families, and good luck in the future life. Have you ever thought about adopting another kid, say from I don't know, Latvia, Ukraine, whatever? Melissa?
Yes. Again, like, I don't really plan these things out. They sort of have to naturally come to me. Definitely, we would be open to it. I can't say, yes, we're going to, but if the opportunity came to us and we felt that, God was telling us that this is what we needed to do, we would absolutely do it again.
Okay. Jennifer?
Well, we've now done it 3 times. My husband actually is coming home in a couple days with our latest daughter from Ukraine. We're just finishing up that process. So yes, we've done it and done it again and again. And it's a long, tedious process, but it is 100% worth it. And just to go back to the comment thanking us, like we're thankful to be able to have our children from Latvia. It's been a huge blessing. It's added so much to our lives. From this little tiny country that we had never heard about, 11 years ago, it's become a huge part of our family and our lives and our hearts. We've added some pieces of Latvian culture to our family, and it's just neat. It's added a lot to our lives to be able to have children from other countries. So we're appreciative of the opportunity to have our children.
Have you ever met others, say like families from America who adopted kids from Latvia or say from Ukraine?
We know many, and we get together and the kids get to socialize, they can stay in touch. So yes, through our ministry, we know dozens and dozens of other families who've adopted from Latvia and from Ukraine. And we keep in touch with them to keep the kids, let them have that connection.
And do the kids connect well? Do they speak Latvian when they meet up, or they are mostly now in English?
Some of them do. The older that they are when they're adopted, the more they keep their language. The ones that are adopted much younger, they don't always keep up with it as much, but we like to give them the opportunity to be able to use it as often as they can, just so that they have that, they're able to keep up that skill.
Great. Melissa?
The same with us. We know several families through the organization, and we actually have some friends in our city that adopted from Ukraine. So we're really close with them. We have a family that lives maybe about 30 minutes from us as well, that we met in Latvia while they were there on one of their trips, and I had never met them before, and they live 30 minutes from us. So we were able to meet together in Latvia and ice skate, and we've seen them a couple of times since then. So yes, we know lots of people, other families that are adopting. So we can share stories together and help each other and support each other.
Great. That's what we love to do. Tu vari kaut ko piebilst, kaut ko saistībā ar to, cik, vai cik tev zināms, cik tie bērni komunicē daudz Latvijā savā starpā? Ne Latvijā, bet Amerikā. Dace?
Es varu runāt arī atkal par tiem bērniem, kurus es devos intervēt. Jā, dzirdi?
Jā.
Halo? Jā? Tātad viņi visi adoptēti no vienas iestādes, un viņi visi atrodas šī vienā, praktiski pilsētā. Un viņi ļoti uztur kontaktu. Protams, viņi bez mazliet katru nedēļu tiekās dažādos pasākumos, un daži pat mācās vienā skolā. Un no šīs pašas iestādes daži jaunieši ir adoptēti citos štatos. Ir Teksasā un ir Bostonā, Massachusettsā. Un tad es zinu, ka tie, kas bija Viskonsīnā un Teksasā, viņi pat lidoja viens pie otra ciemos. Meitenes satikās, ģimenes atļauj bērniem satikties, brīvlaikos pavada laiku. Viņi sazinās, protams, mūsdienās ar sociālajiem tīkliem. Tas vispār ir fenomenāli, kad jauniešiem ir pavisam cits iespējas, tā kā jā, viņi sazinās, ja viņi to vēlās. Protams, viņiem tas nekad netiek liekts.
Reiku, mums jautājums ienāca iekšā no Ances, vai ir tā, ka adoptējot uz Ameriku maina identitāti, vārdus un no kurienes nāk? Dace?
Es varbūt varu piebilst, jā, no tā visa, ko es zinu, ja bērns ir adoptēts pusauģa vecumā, tad vienmēr viņam pašam vēlies lai tavu vārdu maina. Protams, vienmēr tiek piedāvāts bērnam arī viņa šis uzvārds, adoptētāju uzvārds, un bērni lielākoties vienmēr ar milzīgu prieku pieņem šo jaunās ģimenes uzvārdu. Citi vēlās paturēt savu šeit Latvijā doto vārdu, citi to patur kā middle name, ja? Kā vidējo vārdu, un tad viņiem dod iespēju, ja viņi grib izvēlēties kādu citu vārdu. Ja bērniņš ir maziņš, adoptēts ar pašām vajadzībām, pieņemsim, ja, tad tur, tas ir vecāku tāds lēmums, bet liela daļa atstāja to bērna vārdu vai kaut kur viņi ieliek tā kā pa vidu to middle name.
We had a question from one of the viewers. The question was about when you adopt a kid to America, do you change their identity, names, and where they came from? Lisa?
I'll go ahead. Okay. So he took our last name, the family name, and we gave him the choice if he wanted to keep his name or change his name. And then he didn't have a middle name. And so he was able to choose his middle name, which is Sanders. And he chose that because that was my grandfather's name, whom he had met when he was here with us for the summer, and then he passed away that summer. So you just was able to choose, and he kept his first name.
All right. And what about you, Jennifer? You gave a Caroline. It's your chosen name for a girl, and Jonathan.
Actually, her middle name, her full name is Inta Caroline. So we decided to keep her first name, which we often still use here at home, but she wanted an American name to fit in a little bit better at school. So when she was at school, she chooses to go by Caroline, and when she's at work, she chooses to go by Caroline, but her full name is Inta Caroline.
Okay, so there is no strict rules that you have to change the names and change an identity. It's just down to if it's a teenage boy, say, you can ask him what he likes to do, and so he chooses to keep his name. That's good. That's good. So Melissa, question to you: how was it? Say Jennifer, she adopted a Jonathan who was a year old. You adopted Uldis when he was 14.
He was 15. He had just turned 15. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
he's quite old at that time, and
yes.
why you say what makes you think of adopting a kid who is say like in mid-teens? Say Jennifer choose a year-old, not a newborn baby, but a year-old, and you choose to adopt a teenager. It's quite harsh thing. Say with a 1-year-old, having myself a 1-year-old son at home, it's completely different if I would have a 15-year-old boy who has probably his own character, his own ways of expressing himself, and understanding of a life. Wasn't that a bit too much to have on your shoulders?
Well, I felt again like we didn't go into it like, oh, I'm going to go adopt a teenager, but they need it just as much or more than the babies do. So it breaks my heart to see kids who have been sitting there for years and waiting and hoping like he had, and he expressed that he's just been waiting and hoping since he was 15 months old for his own family, and it just broke my heart. And I thought, why can't we do it? We have a home, we have a room, we have a bed. We love our kids. Why can't we love another one, whether he's 15 or 5 or 1? And I've already had teenagers, older boy teenagers, and they can be difficult and they can be stubborn. So that doesn't faze me. I can deal with it. I'm pretty tough. So we just couldn't leave him. And again, like Jennifer said earlier, we feel very blessed to have a child from Latvia, to have him. He's a blessing to us. And I don't feel like that we've done anything, really great. We just did what we felt God wanted us to do. And, these kids, they don't ask for a whole lot. They just want the most simple thing. They don't ask for a fancy car. They don't ask for all these things. They want a family of their own. They just want a family. They want someone, to love them and cry over fingerprints because you can't get it done in time and stress out over birthday parties. They deserve to have someone that's going to just always support them, even when they misbehave, even if he does something, which he rarely does, he's a good boy, but if he misbehaves, guess what? I still love you. You're in trouble, you're grounded, but I still love you. And even when they're, I've had some people say to me, well, you're adopting a 15-year-old. He's going to be gone in a few years. And I'm like, no, he's still our family. When they move on to go to college or the Air Force, which he wants to do, or have their own family, they're still your kids. He's still going to be my baby. And we're still going to be there to support them. I'm 41 years old. My parents are in their 60s. I still need them. They're still my family. So that's what people sometimes don't understand is why would you do that? But, kids need their families for life to help direct them, forever. So.
Yeah, I also helped her get all the lot of weight on her shoulders, like mowing stuff, taking care of the yard, garden, taking care of the house, I guess, fixing things. That's my thing.
He likes to help a lot. He's a good
Typical
boy.
We're not throwing things out. We like to fix them.
Yes.
Uķi, jautājums tev. Kāda būs tava pirmā mašīna? My question is to Ugis, what will be his first car?
It's gonna be a truck. I don't know how it's in Latvia, a truck.
Truck? Well, which one? Ford F-150 or F-250 or Chevy?
F probably 250 because I'm doing yard work. Es pļauju zāli manā apkaimē un es pelnu $90 nedēļā.
Tas ir labi priekš jauniešu.
Jā. Un tagad tas arī plus, ko es tagad daru, es arī dabūju darbu, tā kā es teicu jau. Jā.
Tu gribi nopelnīt naudu viņa tavai pirmai mašīnai, tu negaidi, kad Melis iedāvinās.
Yeah.
My question was that he wants to earn his own money for the first vehicle, that he's not expecting, you, Melissa, to give him as a free. So
yes.
So he's very responsible, actually. At age 16, 17, he's very responsible.
Yes, he is. We would love to be able to give our kids everything, but we also think it's important to give them the opportunity to work for some things themselves. So he's doing a good job at that. He is very responsible.
Good. I think you spoil kids if you give them everything for free. If they don't work for the things, they just think that they will gonna naturally come from a parent, and then it's just it just ruins their lives because they never earned nothing by working with their own hands. So that's a good one. We have some few questions coming in. So we have Laura who says hello to everyone, and Eva is asking how long is the adoption process overall. So how long it was for you?
For us, it was about a year.
A year.
Yes, it was from August to August. Once all the 3 trips were complete, it was 1 year. But I know for many people it's longer. But we were really trying to rush, hurry. So.
Okay, Jennifer, how long it took you to adopt, say, Jonathan?
It's usually about a year with Jonathan. We were in a unique situation where we had already presented our paperwork to Latvia, so we were waiting, and he came available on the ministry list. So we saw that he was, available, and we inquired about him, and we traveled very quickly. But with our first adoption into Caroline, it was over a year.
Yeah. Okay. Good one. So we have another comment. Laura saka, ka Dace nesaprot, ne, Dace ļoti labi saprot visu. Viņa galvenā šajā sarunā, kas mūs visu šito te padarītā. We have a Samantha saying, thank you, Jennifer and Melissa, for your big hearts. And Madara is asking, what do you think about the adoption ban? So from your point of view, is it good that Latvian government banned adoption to non-Latvian citizens, or it's probably one of the biggest mistakes they ever made?
I think it's a shame. I think that there are many, many children still waiting that need families. So to deny them that opportunity, wherever that family may be, I think it's a mistake to not give them that opportunity, because you're talking about children with special needs that are waiting, or large sibling groups. And it's our understanding Latvians aren't adopting large sibling groups or children that are older or with special needs. Typically, the families in Latvia are going for your younger or your healthier children. So what about the children like Uldis, or the children like our daughter Caroline, who has some special needs? They just sit and wait and wait and wait. And if there's no family in Latvia that wants them, does that mean that they're not entitled to a family or don't have the right to a family? So yeah, I think it's a shame that Latvian would want to ban that and not give them the children that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Melissa, you wanted to say something, Ed?
I agree with Jennifer. Yes, I think it's a very sad thing. I'm not sure why that they want to ban it, but a child's life should be more valuable. Their childhood is what makes them who they are, when they're an adult. So without a family, that's the most important thing they could have to be a successful adult, is to have their own family. And I think it's really cruel to let them sit there and wait in institutions and without someone to care for them and love them. And I think it's wrong.
Yeah, I think actually the government should listen into you guys, what you have to say. We have so many people adopted, as Dace was saying. We have over 1,000 people, 1,000 kids adopted to abroad, and 95-96% of them are in happy, loving families. So I reckon the government should have just listened to those kids, into those parents, to tell them, look at them, right? There was no one who wanted them in your country. We adopted them, so why you are not letting us adopt more, or it's just have to be done. We have more comments, and we have another Dace saying, I believe most kids just need opportunity, support, and lovely people around, and you are doing a great, guys. Un tad Lauris jautāja, vai Uģis ir latvietis. Uģis ir latvietis. Latviešu puika, kurš jau...
Jā, latvietis. Arī var runāt pa krieviski arī. Jā, paņemāja par ruski тоже, ha?
Jā, par ruski bazdruski, latvieški не bum-bum, jā. Mother, do you have any ties to Latvian culture in your families? Jennifer?
In my family?
Yeah, okay, start with Melissa, yeah.
No, not at all. I had never even heard of Latvia, before the adoption, so.
And what about Latvian culture now, when you have Uldis in your family? You celebrate like a midsummer festival, you celebrate, I don't know what we celebrate, something else we celebrate.
Well, we have celebrated his name day. We have a European market nearby that we try to visit every once in a while, and we stock up on pelmeni. I know I'm not saying it right. And karums. I can't say it. His favorite treats from the European store.
Karums.
Oh yes, curd. Yeah, curd in the chocolate. Yes, my favorite one as well. So what about you, Jennifer? I think since Caroline was 7 when you adopted, and Jonathan is only 1, I don't think you celebrate much of a Latvian tradition.
Actually, we do. We've really incorporated a lot of Latvia into our lives. We've got Latvian flags around the house. We have artwork from Latvia. From each of our trips, we've brought home, paintings or different things from Latvia. My son, when he goes to school and they ask him to draw a flag, the first flag he usually draws is Latvia, because it's a lot easier to draw than America. And he teaches his teacher about the Latvian flag. We've been to Latvia 16 times in the past 10 years that since we've adopted. So my daughter always wants her grici, and she wants the black bread. And, so there's a lot of things that we still try to keep incorporated. We get together with other families who have adopted from Latvia, and we celebrate November 18th. And, so we do try to incorporate some of those values and those Latvian things into our lives with all of our family, not just our adopted kids.
Yeah. Good one. And on top of that, our mother is saying she loves you all for what you're doing. So, and that is asking a quite serious question, but what about the children in America or any other countries? I know that you adopted, Jennifer, you adopted kids from Ukraine. So, but it's not only sad in Latvia, it's sad in America as much as in Latvia. So why didn't you decide to adopt someone from America? Is it completely different, like procedures for adoption, or it's much longer, or why from abroad, not from your own country?
It's a different process. As I said, we've done foster care here, so we are familiar a little bit with the process. And we've been involved with infant or interim care, which is babies that are awaiting adoptive placement here. There are a lot of families that are taking in babies and young children here, so we didn't feel like that was a need that we could fill, but we knew that once we met into Caroline, that was a need that we could fill, and it didn't matter to us that she was from Latvia or where she was from, but we had fallen in love with her, and we knew that was, something that we wanted to do with our family. So we didn't really look so much at the country, just at the child.
Yeah, but how did you find Caroline and Jonathan? Wasn't on a Facebook or like online. You must have gone somewhere specifically to look for kids to adopt.
We didn't really look to adopt. We met Caroline through a hosting program, which allows children from Latvia to visit families in America over the holidays or over summer break. So we really just got to know her through that cultural exchange and learning about Latvia. And then we learned that she didn't have parents, didn't have a family. And that's when it kind of opened our eyes to the need for adoption from Latvia, and specifically for Caroline. So we didn't go into it thinking, well, we're going to go adopt from Latvia. We opened our hearts and our homes to a child that, wanted to visit from Latvia for the summer. And then it just kind of grew from there, where we learned of the need. And with Jonathan, we had already been involved with Latvia for many years at that point. So when we learned that he was available for adoption, and we knew that we were open to having more children, it just made sense. We have grown to love Latvia, so we knew that Caroline would love to have another sibling that was also from Latvia.
Do they get along quite good?
Very well, very well. Yes, as much as an older sister can with her little brother sometimes.
Melissa, how did you find about Uldis?
It was through the same type of situation, through a summer hosting program. And, and when we were looking, it just kind of fell in our lap. We had some friends that had done that. And we saw it, and I was like, oh, wow, that's something that we could do. So we started looking through, some of the children that needed or wanted to be hosted for the summer. And to be honest, I wasn't looking for a teenager. I was kind of not afraid, but, do I really, want a teenage boy here? And so I sort of skipped over his picture a few times. No, what about this cute little boy, And I just kind of kept coming back like, okay, I'm just going to read about him. What's this you just like? And so when I read his profile, he liked all the things, a lot of the things that we like. He loved animals and liked to be active and things like that. So it was heavy on my heart. Like, okay, he's the one. We're going to host him. And, again, like, we didn't know his situation. He came with us for the summer. We had a great time. And when we found out that he was wanting to be adopted and he didn't have a family, that we thought, we can do this. I mean, his time is running out. He's had all this time. And if we hurry, we can do this. So it wasn't that, we didn't want American kids. It just fell in our lap. It was just, brought to us. And like Jennifer said, too, there are many families here that foster children here. I have friends that foster children. that is something that, you know, we have looked into and thought about as well. So it doesn't mean that we would never do that. We might. So it's a different, you know, kind of a different situation. We have many foster homes in the United States that kids are in. So that's also something on the table in the future. But yeah, we didn't look into it. If there was another country that had a hosting program, or, you know, we knew of children that need to be adopted, we can't adopt all of them, obviously, but we would not say no to that if that was what we needed to do.
Okay. Dace, man jautājums tev ir, kas šie ir par profiliem, par ko Melissa pieminēja? I'm just asking Dace about those profiles, what you mentioned about Uldis profile. So I'm asking Dace to explain me a bit more about these profiles. Varu pasāstīt nedaudz vairāk par šiem profiliem? Kas tie par profiliem, kur var izlasīt par to bērnu, vai kas tos raksta? Bišķi vairāk par tiem.
Jā, nu cik es zinu tikai, ja, jo tur ir tādas organizācijas, kas piedāvā šīs viesprogrammas iespējas, tā ir tāda kultūras atpūtas apmaiņas programma, kādreiz arī bija auģu ģimeņu bērniem, šobrīd nu, tā kā, arī bērniem. Un, ja bērnu nama vadība, ja vai bāriņtiesa, kas ir tā kā likumiskie aizbildņi bērnam, viņi apstiprina vai dod zaļo gaismu, ka šis bērns var doties tādā tālā ceļojumā, nu, šādu apmaiņas programmu, vasarā tās ir pēc 5 vai 6 nedēļas, ziemā tas ir nedaudz īsāk, ja. Tad par viņu tiek sagatavota informācija, nodota šai viesķimeņu organizācijai, viesprogrammas organizācijai. Viņi sagatavo tādu tā kā profilu ar fotogrāfiju un aprakstu par bērnu. Kā jau Melissa teica, kas bērnam interesē, vai viņam ļoti patīk sports, vai viņam patīk, es nezinu, māksla, ja? Un tad attiecīgi tādu ģimeni vairāk viņam piemeklē, vai tas ir pilsētā vai laukos, ja? Tur ir tāda pamata informācija par bērnu. Un tad ģimene, ņemot vērā savu dzīvesveidu, savu bērnu skaitu ģimenē, saprotot, vai šis konkrētais bērns labi iederētos viņu pulciņā, tad viņi izlemj, ok, šo mēs varam, šis nebūtu mums īsti piemērots veselām 5-6 nedēļām, ko mēs pavadīsim kopā. Un tā, īsumā.
Tad iznāk, ka tie bērni pirms, teiksim, pilnībā būtu adoptētiem. Nav tā, ka cilvēks noskata no Amerikas viņa profilu, viņš sazinās ar valsts iestādēm, es šo bērnu gribu, tad noteikties process, tur pārbauda šitas, tas un tas, bet izrādās tie bērni vēl var arī tās apmaiņas braucienos pa priekšu vai aizbraukt pie tām, nu, it kā topošajām adoptēšanas ģimenēm, vai ne?
Nu, tātad ir viens ceļš, kad Labklājības ministrijā ir adopcijas reģistrs, kas ir pieejams vietējiem iedzīvotājiem un ārvalstniekiem. Ja? Un, protams, vienmēr priekšroka tiek dota vietējiem. Tikai tad, ja Latvijā konkrētajiem bērnam nav bijis iespējams ilgstoši atrast ģimeni, tad viņš tiek iekļauts ārvalstu adopcijas reģistrā. Un tur nav, protams, tāda fotogrāfija un tik tāda varbūt tāda izklaidējoša informācija par bērnu hobijiem, interesēm, un tā tur varbūt vairāk tādas arī medicīniska informācija un tā. Tas ir viens veids, kā var, bet otrs, kā tas tā kā ir noticis līdz šim ļoti daudz ģimeņu gadījumā, tas ir, ka viņi tos bērnus sastopa viesprogrammu laikā. Bet kā jau teica Dženefera un arī Melissa šovakar, tad sākotnēji tas nebija viņu mērķis. Viņa mērķis bija uz vasaras brīvlaiku vai uz ziemas brīvlaiku dot bērnam iespēju uzņemt viņu pie sevis vienkārši ciemos. Tā ir fantastiska iespēja kultūras apmaiņai, valodas apguvēji, tā ir milzīga, es domāju, tā ir fantastiska pieredze, par kuru jebkurš ģimenes bērns priecātos. Ģimeņu vecāki maksā bieži vien bargu naudu, lai aizsūtītu savu bērnu uz angļu valodas nometni vai uz vēl kaut kur. Tad šeit arī šiem ārpus ģimenes aprūpē esošiem bērniem tiek piedāvāta šāda iespēja. Ģimenes tātad vispirms tiek pārbaudītas, par viņām tiek veikta arī tāda izpēta, vai tā ir droša ģimene, kāda ir viņa motivācija par viņu situāciju, tad viņi samaksāt visus tos bērnam šos ceļu izdevumus, un viņi arī tiek apmācīti, pirms tam iziet obligātu apmācības programmu, ko nozīmē uzņemt ģimenē šādu bērnu no sistēmas, jā, kas ir jāzina par kultūru, par valodu. Viņi bieži vien iemācās visādas pamatfrāzes un mēģina komunicēt ar bērniem tā, un tad bērns ierodās. Un ļoti daudzi bērni arī, viņi nemaz nav juridiski brīvi. Viņus pat tu nevarētu, ja tu gribi, nevari viņus adoptēt. Bērni vienkārši dodās tādā vasaras brīvlaikā vai ziemas brīvlaikā ciemoties. Jā?
Ko nozīmē nav juridiski brīvi?
Jā, tas varbūt tāds jau termins, ko profesionāls, tātad, lai bērnu varētu vispār adoptēt, bērna bioloģiskajai ģimenei, bioloģiskajiem vecākiem ar tiesu tiek atņemtas tāda aizgādības tiesības. Tas ir pēc ilgstoša laika, kad vecākiem ir dota iespēja mainīt apstākļus, kādos viņi ir, mainīt savu lēmumu, teiksim, saņemties. Ja viņi to ilgstoši, tas nav nedēļu, mēnešu, tas bieži vien ir gadiem iet, ja? Un ja tiesa beigās pēc bāriņtiesas iniciatīvas un ka viņi nodod šo lietu lielajai tiesai, kā mēs sakam, ja, tad tiesa pieņem lēmumu par atņemt aizgādības tiesības. Un bērns kļūst, kā mēs sakam, juridiski brīvs, un tad bērns tiek iekļauts adopcijas reģistrā, kas nozīmē, ka jebkurš vietējais adoptētājs, ja viņš vēlas, viņš šo bērnu var adoptēt. Un vietējiem vienmēr ir priekšroka. Ja? Tas ir viens no mītiem, kad ārvalstu adoptētāji noceļ bērnus vietējiem. Nav tā. Un tad bērns tiek iekļauts reģistrā un viņi var adoptēt. Un daļa no šiem viesprogrammu bērniem, viņi nemaz nav juridiski brīvi, pat ja gribētu. Viņus neviens nevar likumiski, nevar adoptēt. Un ir vēl tāda bērnu daļa, kas nemaz negribētu, pat ja viņi ir juridiski brīvi, lai viņus adoptē uz ārzemēm. Un bērniem vienmēr tas tiek jautāts. Ja šis jautājums paceļās pēc viesprogrammām, kad, teiksim, bērns ir brīvs un ģimene ir izteikusi, viņi varbūt gribētu šo bērnu adoptēt, bērnam vienmēr jautā viedokli. Es domāju, ka Uldis mums to arī varētu apstiprināt un pateikt, pret viņa gribu neviens viņu nevar adoptēt. Ja bērns saka, es to vēlos, ja papīri ir kārtībā, viņš ir brīvs, ja ārvalstu adoptētāji ir atzīti par drošu, stabilu ģimeni un piemērot šiem bērnam, tikai tad tiek pieņemts lēmums, ka viņu var adoptēt uz ārvalstīm.
Okay, labi. Jautājums ir Uģim. Uģi, vai tu zini, kas ir noticis ar taviem vecākiem?
Nē.
Tu nezini.
Nav ideju. No.
Yeah. Nē, tas tā. Melissa, do you know something about, say, Ugi's parents, say, from orphanage? I don't know, do they tell you something about his parents?
No. They told me nothing except that all I know is that they had alcohol problems.
Okay.
And they lived, deep in the forest, and they were alcoholics and could not take care of the children. That's all that I know.
Yeah. Okay, we have a comments while we were talking. So Inga is saying, I know so many kids who are adopted from Latvia to abroad, and they all have great families. And actually, we have two comments, one from Eiley. They're saying, if you wouldn't know that Ugis is adopted, you would think that he's your real son. You look so alike.
Yes, a lot of people say that.
Things, exactly. I just noticed as well. And we have someone saying that he looks like David Bowie.
What?
So, yeah, we have a good comment here. Dace is it difficult to communicate with Latvian authorities about adopting? I know some people are complaining that lots of Latvians don't really want to communicate in different languages. Sadly, some of the people not so happy that someone from other countries wants to adopt our kids, but at the same time, nobody else wants to do it. So how was your experience overall? Was it hard to communicate? Was it easy to communicate? Were they responsive to your emails, messages, phone calls, Melissa?
Yes, I thought it was pretty easy going because we had, people translating for us. And even though I didn't understand if some people were talking, we had someone translating. And I felt like they did want to communicate with us. And, the orphan court director, she was wonderful. You could tell they really cared about the kids. And they wanted, they wanted him in a family. They were happy to see him in a family, even though it was a family abroad.
Jennifer, your experience with Latvian authorities?
Yeah, I would say the same. We didn't really have any issues with communicating. We were able to get questions answered, through our contacts in Latvia. And, during the whole process, through the court process and everything, we had translation the entire time, but we didn't have any issues.
Okay. And we have another question. Does our country, like a Latvian country, or financially helps you to adopt kids? Or it only comes from your own pocket to pay all expenses, travel costs, accommodations and everything? Jennifer?
Yeah, there was no assistance for adoption. It was all money that we had, either fundraised or from our pocket.
Okay. Do you mind me asking roughly how much it cost you to go through the whole procedure? If you don't want to answer, don't answer it. It's just, I don't know. So literally, by me, I don't know how much it might cost.
I think families, when they're looking at adopting internationally from Latvia, they're told it's generally around $30,000, depending on time of year that you travel. A lot of that is travel expenses. You have to make 3 trips over, so that's 3 sets of flights, plus all of the hotel and accommodations. So a lot of that is travel expenses. But ballpark, in general, it's around $30,000.
Melissa, you can agree on that one?
Yes, for us, it was closer to 35, 40. But a big reason is the travel. We took all of our kids over the first trip. We took the 3 little ones at home and spent the 3 weeks and had to rent a car and rent a house because the hotels were a little too small for all of us. So, yeah. But, like Jennifer, we had to fundraise some. We had people give gifts of money. The rest came, from our pocket. So
it's a huge amount of money. Actually, it's not like just few thousand not pounds, but dollars, and then it's all sorted. But you talk about actually a big money. Okay, that's a jā. Tu gribi kaut ko piebilst?
Es vēlos izmantot mirkli un pateikt šī brīdī, jo pastāv ļoti daudz manipulācijas ar šiem cipariem Latvijā, ļoti daudz mīti un mūsu, ne tā kā mūsu, bet ārvalstu adopcijas pretinieki, ko viņi izmanto, un tas pat izskan reāli valdības līmenī. Cilvēki vienkārši nesaprot, ko viņi runā, sakot, pirmkārt, ka tā ir bērnu tirzniecība, kas ir absolūts mīts un meli, un otrkārt, kad kāds saņem šo milzīgo summu ar naudu, šos 40,000 vai 30,000. Man ļoti patika, kad Jennifer un Melissa viņas paskaidroja, ka ļoti liela daļa tiešām tās ir ceļošanas izmaksas. Jūs apmēram iedomājaties, ja kāds ir lidojis no Latvijas uz Ameriku, cik maksā viena biļete, mēs esam lidojuši, mēs noķeram uz atlaidēm biļetes parasti, bet ja tev ir jālido tagad, kad tev saņemt ir dokumenti, tev nav iespēja nopirkt lētākās biļetes, pēc to, kas ir, un bieži vien tās ir milzīgas summas. Tā ir dzīvošana, tā ir ģimenes izpēci sagatavošana Amerikā, un šeit Latvijā adopcija nemaksā neko ģimenēm, viņiem mums nekas nav jāmaksā bāriņu tiesai vai kam, tas viss šis process ir par velti, valsts to nodrošina. Amerikā tas viss ir tādā privāta sektora rokās, un, protams, tas maksā. Sociālā darbinieka vizīte maksā, ja kādu dokumentu viņi ir jānes uz pie notāra apstiprināt. Viss savācās. Tādēļ tīri meli, ko saku.
Jā, es sapratu, tas nozīmē to, ka Jennifer un Melissa vēl maksāja Amerikas pusē, lai visu to procedūru veiktu, iziet tam procesam cauri, un tad tas nav tā, ka viņi maksāja kaut ko Latvijai, bet tas vēl
par Amerikas
izmaksas un dzīvošanas, tad vēl ir jāmaksā kaut kas Amerikas pusē vēl par pakalpojumiem. Yeah, we were just discussing what's included in those $30,000-$40,000, and apart from say flight tickets and accommodation, that's just saying that you also have to pay for a social care, social service visitor, and then any other expenses also includes in that one, right?
Right, you have to pay for the social worker to come out to write the report. We have to pay the U.S. government fees to file forms so that we can get approval for immigration. We have to pay for background checks, fingerprints and all of that. So there's a lot of things that are included in that.
The reason we discuss this one now is that so many people are saying that you pay $30,000-$40,000, you are buying a kid, right? It's like not a trafficking, kids trafficking, but you actually like a buy and sell kids, right? And people just hearing all this amount of money being spent on a kid, they don't realize that you actually really are paying for a flight ticket. I don't know how much it actually cost from Maryland to fly to Riga. I think it goes to Frankfurt to Germany or Amsterdam, and then you have to send another plane to Riga, and it's probably cost about $1,000. Just probably around $1,000, probably one way, not return ticket, and plus all the accommodations and everything else. So that's where all that money comes together, and it's not like I'll give you a check with $50,000 and I'll have twins in my house, So yeah, thanks for clarifying that one. That's very important that people actually understand where that money comes from and actually where it goes. Because yeah, people when they don't know what they're talking about, they can talk a lot of crap. Sorry for my language. So yeah, so Ayelet is saying it is very expensive altogether, and Dace is saying yeah, due to this myth about buying and selling kids, she was asking this question as well, and there are so many people who doesn't know, and they just share just the lies. So thank you for answering these questions to us today, and we still have 35 people watching, and it was up to 40, so it's a good conversation with you guys. And I reckon on this one we're gonna finish our conversation today, and we have another comment just come in. Wow, Uldis knows English. Steve Holmes, he's an English guy who is following us because he's married to a Latvian woman, and he's following us now. And every time we have a live conversation, he comments something, and now he's saying that I know English. Well, thanks, Steve. And I was just saying who used to talk, they will still talk, and they find enemies anywhere. So we have to be glad that our kids actually goes to loving families, and it doesn't matter which country it is, if it's Latvia, America, Germany, Brazil, as long as we have you guys, Jennifer and Melissa, with massive hearts for the kids from Latvia, we just could be very, very happy that you do what you do. So big thank you from me, and I reckon big thank you from Dace as well. And we have Imans, who is in San Francisco. Greetings from San Francisco. As a Latvian, I feel that people like Jennifer and Melissa need an award. Oh, definitely. Big, massive award. Another baby, maybe. So, and Dace is saying, hold on, it's amazing that you still did it up, because that is a huge amount of money. So yeah, that's I don't know. I lost the words for this money, and you spend on the kids and all you did for them. It's just big thank you, and Steve's sending you hearts as well. So anyway, on this one, I think we'll finish today. Our conversation will come to an end, and next Thursday we're gonna have I think we're gonna have Dace again, but we're gonna have someone from local authorities to discuss actually more Latvian point of view of adoptions and orphanages and foster caring systems. So people who would like to join us next Thursday, please join us. It will be another quite hard conversation, because it's not an easy topic to talk about. And today I would like to say a big thank you to Jennifer and Melissa. So thank you for joining us in this conversation and telling us your story, your point of view, and your lives as well. And Uldis, liels paldies arī tev, ka tu pievienojies mums un pastāstīji par savu dzīvi. Tā kā we have good luck and thank you all for your time. So yes, big thank you. We'll talk with you in after I finish broadcasting. And meanwhile, we're going to say, everyone, thank you very much. We have another conversation in just over half an hour. I joined to that one. But meanwhile, I would like to say again, big thank you to Jennifer and Melissa, and we'll have a chat after live finishes. So, paldies visiem, kas skatījās. Liels paldies, ka jūs komentējāt, ka jūs atbalstījāt šo un runājat par šo tēmu ar mums. Pievienojieties nākamā ceturtdien, kad mums būs Dace atkal klāt ar citiem viesiem, kad mēs runāsim par adopcijas problēmām vispār Latvijā kā tādu. Tā kā droši pievienojieties, un, kā es teicu, jau es novēlēju lielu izdošanos un lielu paldies pateicu arī Jenniferai un Melisai. Paldies jums visiem, un tiekamies 8:00 mums būs saruna ar vienu jaunu puisi. Tā kā droši piesakojiet, bet pagaidām es saku jums tā, un tiksimies jau tad atkal ar mani nākamnedēļ. Paldies un visu labu. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you in a
Paldies.
backstage.